When your slabs are ready to be put together, they should look a little bit like this, to where when you pick them up, they shouldn't really bend, but they should still feel moist. You still want to be able to work with them. You just don't want them, you want them to hold their shape on their own. And you want to be able to put your box together all in one day. So you should have rolled your slabs, let them dry. I would check them a couple, like an hour or two before you want to actually put them together. And what checking them is going to do, you're gonna just check and make sure that they're not too wet and not too dry. You wanna keep them in the state that's just before leather hard. There's two different kinds of joints. The first one is going to be the butt joint, and the butt joint is where you've got two walls and they butt up right next to each other. So you're just gonna attach one wall to the other. The other one is going to be a mitered joint. Now this is the stronger one because you're cutting at a 45-degree angle, which means that this joint here is going to be stronger because it has more surface area that it's connected to than the butt joint. But I'm going to show you both today. So I've got my base here. Now for a mitered joint, in order to get my base ready to go, I can do one of two things. I can either cut my clay at a 45-degree angle, and then these are available in the classroom, and at home you can use your clay knife. I'll show you how to do that too. But this cuts a 45-degree angle, and that's with your base. Now what you can do with your clay knife, I didn't have anything this fancy in college, I can this. I can kind of get an approximate 45-degree angle just by angling my clay knife, keeping it really steady, and going through my clay. So I can get a mitered joint with that as well. Gonna clean up the edge here. There we go. There we go. With a butt joint, you just leave it at that 90-degree angle here and you'll be okay. Now with a mitered joint, I'm going to join this wall, which means I need one of my short pieces. With a mitered joint, if you're going to join these two pieces together, both of them have to be mitered. So I'm going to cut. Remember, you can do this with your knife as well. And I'm going to miter that joint. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to score really well both pieces. I like to score two different directions. And add slip. All right, once you're ready to join them, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your clay, set it up, make sure it's nice and even, and then you're going to gently press it into your piece. Now you're going to want to check to make sure it's straight up and down, which mine is not. So I'm going to just pull it out a little bit. There we go. And you might need to leave something here. So you can put it on the inside. Nothing with super sharp edges, but you might want to hold it up, and that is a way you can prop it. So that's one of your 45-degree angles. All right, in this next segment, I'm going to do a butt joint. So I've got my 45-degree angle here. I'm going to do a butt joint here. With a butt joint, instead of cutting a 45-degree angle, I don't really need to do that. Instead, I'm going to take my piece, I'm going to score it, and I don't need to just score this part, I also need to score where the sides are going to be attached. So here, and there. So I'm attaching here, and then I need to score here. All right, once I'm done here, I can start to blend them together. So I don't want this butt to stay the same. I need to start blending it. So I can make sure they're pushed all the way together, all the way up. And then something that kind of sometimes helps is roughing up the surface a little bit. And if you need to, if you've got any spots that don't quite meet all the way up, I'm going to put my whole box together. If you are wanting to use mitered joints, you're going to need to cut your mitered joints the whole time. So you're going to want to cut your mitered joints on every single piece before you go and get started with it. If you have some joints where you're feeling like they're not quite where you need them to be, one thing that you can do here, and I've got a joint here that I feel kind of wary about down below, I can slip and score a little coil there, and I'll score my coil too. Add some water to create slip. And what I can do here is I can put my coil in the corner. And if you do this to one, you're going to want to do it to all of them. But I can put my coil in the corner here, and I can blend it out. And it just creates kind of this extra layer of support for your wall there. So if you're interested and you're feeling like you need extra support, you can do that. We're taking a short intermission to talk about your oval boxes. So the only difference between them is going to be that all of your sides go on at once. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be scoring your whole base, and your slab should sit on top of your base. So it's going to sit right on top. Then what you're going to do is you're going to score your whole slab. You're going to, because you did all of the bending while it was more plastic, Because you did most of the bending while it was plastic, you're going to have a little bit easier time getting it to fit. You want to score it really well. Slip it. And then you're going to follow the rest of the box steps after we put this on and kind of trim the walls and connect the walls. But otherwise, like putting the top on is the same, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, so I'm going to start with a spot. Now, my overlap here is on the side, and that's because that's going to be your weakest point is where they connect. So I want to make sure that however I'm fitting my slab, the weakest point is going to be on one of the long sides because that gives it a little bit more support. All right, so then when I'm ready, you're going to do kind of the same thing you did when you were slipping and scoring your coils. And you're going to cut it at an angle here while your walls are overlapped. And you're not cutting it all the way down, you're just cutting it till the base. I'm going to pull that out. Now once I pull these extra two pieces out, what I'm going to have are two pieces here that fit perfectly together or pretty close to perfectly together. So I'm going to score them, slip them, and fit them together. And then I'm going to need to do some blending because they're overlapping on each side. So blending, smoothing, and I'm going to need to do that to the whole bottom, just like with your rectangular box. So you're going to want to make sure that it's completely blended on all sides, that joint. And then what you'll do is you'll check it from the top, make sure it's good to go, and then you can smooth out the inside. You're going to want to make sure that this joint is nice and smooth. You can do that with your finger. You can do it by roughing up the surface and using your rib tool. And then you'll put the top on just like the box will show you. I'll show you in a little bit. Once you've smoothed all of your sides and gotten them all attached, you can see here that I chose to actually reinforce the corners of all of my box. And the reason for that is because I was a little worried that with the combination of the butt joint and the miter joint, it would be weaker. So you just wanted to kind of give it some extra strength. So next you need to cut the top to make sure it's all even. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take a ruler or a piece of paper and you're going to measure your shortest spot. Here we go. So mine is about 4 1/4. And I'm going to go all the way around to mark where that is. And what that means is that I'm going through and I'm measuring and making sure that my box is the same height all the way around. And if not, I'm going to cut some off. And I'm tick marking here so that I can eventually measure and draw a line so that I can cut evenly all the way across. All right, once you have a really even top, what you're going to do is for your top, you're not even going to worry about whether or not you want to do a miter joint, you're going to actually just do a butt joint through the whole top. And this is the easy part. You've done all the hard part. Here's the easy part. I made sure the inside is all smoothed out because by the time we open this, it should be almost leather hard, so it's going to be a little bit harder to smooth out. So I'm doing that. I'm going to score the top here. The top, if you've got slabs that are kind of in different drying points, the top for my box is the kind of weakest part, which means that it has the most water in it. So it's the least dry, but it's got 4 points here that it's going to sit on. So it's going to have some support. If you're worried about it, what you can do is you can bunch up plastic bags on the inside and you can let them sit inside your box until you open it back up. All right, so now all I have to do is blend this corner. This is not where your lid is going to be, so you need to blend it up. If you need to take some extra clay and fill any holes you have, you can do that. I find that to be really helpful, kind of like spackle. You can rough up the surface with your fork and then use your rib here to kind of clean it up. You'll do that to all 4 sides and you'll smooth out the top, and then you need to cover it with a bag and let it sit overnight.